Our next guest. Well, I'm going to try and ask you guys to guess his age. To give you a hint, well, to give you a clue, when I was his age, I started my journalism career on a salary of 3,000 rupees. Today, his company is valued between 200 to 300 million dollars. He is often referred to as a wonder kid. He has completely disrupted the hospitality space, which is great news for us, but I know the hoteliers are very unhappy with him. And, well, to tell you a little bit more about him, he started coding when he was 8 years old. And at the ripe old age of 17, he became a CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please put your hands together to welcome Ritesh Agarwal, founder and CEO of OYO. Welcome, Ritesh. You've got a rock star welcome here. So how many of you have seen OYO signages all across the city? Ritesh, let me begin by asking you the most cliched question. What does it feel like to have your company signages across the city? Did you always think that you'll be able to pull this through?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I think I feel bad that the Mohit session got ended. It was so cool. So much fun. So I think, I had no idea. 2 years back, I was almost thinking to myself that this is the best thing I could ever do in my life. College जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है और उसके बाद भी, you can do whatever you wanted to, right? So I think my intent was having fun. I think this is just something that happened on the side.
So you were just having fun, and now we have OYO boards everywhere.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, it all did start with the need to own a remote control, right? That's how it started.
Yeah. So, all of us, everyone who's sort of young and travels to other cities. So for me, as a young kid, my family would take me to random towns and cities for various reasons. और वहाँ पे I would go and stay at relatives' houses whom I had absolutely had no idea of. ये तुम्हारे मासी हैं. I don't know who the मासी was, but I was seeing her for the first time. And what I would hate in those places is at the end of it, I could not watch the TV. I could not have, I could not do things that I wanted to with my own might. Like, the uncle wanted to watch Astha channel, so I had to watch that myself. So I think that is when being independent became so much more important to me. And when the opportunity to name a company came in, I sort of felt on your own is possibly the best name that could come by.
So how many of you knew the full form of OYO? Well, it is on your own. That's right. It is on your own. Can I request you guys there to please keep the volume low, because Ritesh, I'm sure, has some very interesting insights to share. Thank you. Well, Ritesh, tell us about your inspiration. Tell us, in your entrepreneurial journey, who has inspired you and why?
So I think, as such, for a lot of us, I think in our generation, there was this movie that came by a few years ago called The Social Network. And I looked at it and I was so fascinated by it, right? Like, there was a young guy who felt like solving a really big problem. He was still in his college. He solved it right at his college to begin with. And because he was solving such a good problem, he went ahead and solved it so well. So I think for me, Mark is a person who solved such a big problem, and being so young, and being young and brash, have been a key source of inspiration.
Being young and brash.
I think brash is not politically correct, but I would think yes. You know, what's life without a little bit of
Being
brashness?
a bit reckless, absolutely.
So, but I think, but if you know, that was the first movie. That was a movie in which, for the first time, I saw Peter Thiel. So, if you see, there's a point where somebody, Mark and Sean Parker, going together, and there's for the first time somebody writes a $500,000 check to him, and that was Peter Thiel. And I told to myself when I was watching that movie that this guy will fund me someday. And you know, I knew it was not going to happen. It is just like the cool thing that you tell to yourself, and then like, ye to nahi hone wala. It's like, you know, you see Sonam Kapoor and you say I'll date her one, and then like, nahi, ye to nahi hone wala. So I think 2 years later, him funding what I was doing was something of a story to me myself.
You often talk about Peter Thiel. Tell us a little bit more about what is it exactly that you learned from him, because he's like a god for entrepreneurs across the world, and
I
you
think-
work so closely with him.
Yeah, I think as much time you spend with Peter, the lesser it is. So just for information, guys who don't know, Peter started a company called PayPal. The first 20 people whom he recruited in his company, all of them run billion-dollar companies, including Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, who runs LinkedIn, and so on. And he also backed famously Facebook, which is now doing pretty well. So I think, so he runs a program called 20 Under 20. More connectable for young kids who are still in school and college. So where he basically gives $100,000 as a gift to 20 people under the age of 20. The catch is you have to drop out of college. So getting paid not to go to college, how cool is that? So so whoever feels excited about it, of course you should apply to the program. I got the opportunity to become a fellow myself. So I think with Peter, one thing that I have very, very closely learned is being able to make sure that you don't take convention on the face value. नहीं तो हर इंसान यही बोलता है, नहीं तो ऐसे ही होता है. You know, I have literally seen this thing come by the shame theory so many times, right? In India, there is the shame theory. When you're very young and you don't wear clothes and you're roaming around, people are like, shame, 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 right? Over time, what happens is the shame remains, but it becomes silent. So imagine when you're in the 8th grade and you got the 3rd rank in the class, and you tell your neighbor that I got the 3rd rank. Somebody's like, great stuff, 3rd rank. Whereas inside, it'd be like, but you didn't make it to the 2nd one, which my daughter did. Shame, 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 right? And over time, what happens is, it keeps going on to your employment as well. That, you know, नौकरी मिल गई, हाँ मिल गई, कहाँ मिली? Oh, by the way, Infosys में मिली है. ये startup में मिली, and then internally it would be like, अच्छा startup में मिली है, Infosys में नहीं मिली जो मेरे बेटे को मिल गई. Shame, 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 right? So I think in that sense, Peter has at least helped me understand that be shameless is going to be one of the most key things of building a great company, because generally doing so many things that you have to do as an entrepreneur becomes extremely tough. I was reading this story before coming here. I do very little stage stuff, generally try to avoid it, because I get slightly introvert with a large audience. And वहाँ पे I read that out of every 100 people who speak on stage, every 100 people who have heard people speak on stage, 90 of them would rather die than actually come on the stage and speak. That is how bad it is. So I felt to myself that ये तो बहुत बुरी चीज़ करने को मिल रही है. But I think you know, thank you so much for being accommodating, and also Mohit speaking before was very helpful.
No, you've been fabulous so far. You know, you talk about the shame factor. Now he's also a college dropout, by the way, and a best-selling author.
I love this audience. I love this audience. Guys, I learned this very early. So when I was in the Bay Area, I felt, you know, when you're in the Bay Area, all of us associate US to sort of that ultimate fun that we had always imagined through our childhood, right? So I said to myself, यार अभी 2 महीने मिले, इसके बाद पता नहीं जिंदगी मिले ना मिले ऐसे. So I'm going to have the best amount of fun. So I went and stayed at a frat house at Stanford for 2 months. These 2 months I realized college is nothing greater than cheap beer and parties. That's it, right? So
I don't know if there are any parents in the audience, Ritesh.
yeah, I think I was told the briefing with you guys was be honest. So I'm just being honest.
Go for it.
So, if you are at college, if your family has forced you to, that's okay. Try and avoid. Pass ho jana, nahi ho bhi to koi fark nahi padta. I think college is a real waste of time. Anyway, sorry.
College is a real waste of time. Okay.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Those guys there, they understand what I'm talking about.
I agree with you on that.
You know what, people get hypocritical. क्योंकि ना क्या होता है, it is like ragging. कि जब खुद rag हो रहे होते हो, तब तुम्हें लगता है कि यार अब rag नहीं होना चाहिए. But then जब दूसरों को करने को मिलता है, then you feel like ragging होनी चाहिए. So when people get out of college, they start saying that college होना चाहिए क्योंकि हम जिससे गुजरे हैं उससे इनको भी गुजरना चाहिए. So I think anyway, sorry about it.
My question is on those lines. Now you're a college dropout, and in a society like India, where we lay a lot of emphasis on education.
Yeah.
You come from a small town in Odisha. Your brothers and sisters are all well educated. So how is it for you to, constantly fight that perception battle? And how do you cope with, when you meet investors or people who you want to do business with? Do these things work against you? And how hard was it to deal with your family?
So I think I'll answer that in the same order. So the first thing is dealing with external people. You know what I've learned over time? As you sort of continue working your way up, people generally, even in India, while they might have a perception or whatever, if you really want to solve a problem for them and you open your mouth and have a good conversation, I think generally people understand. I have not seen a big problem there. I think with investors it works positively because they look at, all the way from US, Evan Spiegel running Snapchat and doing very well, and so on. And on the other side, you sort of see Azim Premji here in India and very successful people who are college dropouts. So they feel, ये तो बहुत अच्छा है, college dropout मिल गया तो he'll be definitely very successful. And the third thing, and even with employees and people whom you work with, it's so funny. Last week, we had Evan come into India, and we had a couple of our teammates go hang out with him at a dinner, and he's it's so funny, the cliche part of it, that almost everyone in the team was not excited about Snapchat. They were excited about Miranda Kerr, whom Evan is dating nowadays. So they were like, Ritesh, abhi Matrix ko kahan tak lekar ke jana hai for this to happen with us? I was like, dude, this is not the inspiration. So that's solvable. I think the toughest is family. So that's the reason I very strongly believe कि किसी को भी अगर startup करना है and you want to build a good company or do something that you really feel like, again there might be parents here, don't stay with your family. Go to a different city. If you're in Delhi, go to Mumbai and work from there or something. But if you stay with family, you have the ultimate crib, right? कि मतलब रात को घर late क्यों आए, सुबह time पे क्यों नहीं उठे? That's not how you build great companies, right? They understand this again.
All right, I'm going to open the floor for some audience questions. Anyone in the audience? Okay,
yeah, hello.
Yes. Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Hello, Ritesh.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Somebody else is speaking.
He's asking. Let him ask.
You said it is good to be a college dropout and it's a wastage of time in the colleges. I think you are partially correct because if you need a professional to grow your business, you need a chartered accountant, you need a company secretary, you need a lawyer. So they can't be a college dropouts. They have to complete their studies. So to be an entrepreneur, it's good to be a college dropouts. But to advise for your expansion and growth, you need somebody who has completed his college days. Thank you.
I think great point. So what I don't contradict is education की ज़रूरत नहीं है. I completely agree education की ज़रूरत है. But very early, so in Peter's contract, where you sign a contract that you won't go to college for 2 years, एक बड़ी अच्छी चीज़ होती है, which says I will never let college interfere with my education. Which means that you'll still have education, you can still be a very good I nowadays understand a little bit of finance and usual company secretary stuff. I think at a lot of levels, if you have a good education, after that degrees are almost like a vanity affair. So I completely understand that.
Ritesh, how many college dropouts have you hired in your company?
I think you don't get a lot in India at this point of time, but we have close to 10 people. Yeah, 3 people. So I'd gone to BITS Pilani once to speak because a lot of people who went to BITS Pilani and graduated and they were like, वहाँ पे बहुत सारे लौंडे हैं जो मतलब बहुत excited हैं, मिलना चाहते हैं तुमसे and so on. I was like, so much fun. So we took a weekend drive to Pilani and met a lot of kids. 3 of them actually drove back with us. They were like, ये college रहने दो, हम साथ चलते हैं तुम्हारे.
I think we had somebody there with a question. Yes.
Hi Ritesh, first of all, congrats. You represent the perfect youth in India, what perfect youth should be like. And my question is that, like, there are other competitors, like, don't want to name. So what are the strategies in future you are planning to, so that it enhance customer satisfaction, as well as if you are thinking to expand your company globally, worldwide, like, for example, Airbnb. So are you trying to replicate the same model, like they do, what they do, they just...
Okay, keep your question very crisp.
Okay, okay.
No, I understand his question.
Yeah, he can relate it, some same field, we can relate that.
Sir, two things. I think one thing is our competitors, funnily, are all either copycats or people who are just too old to change themselves.
OYO was the pioneer in this.
Yeah, so I think it is almost like saying Facebook के बाद India में भी कुछ 20 लोग चलाना चाहते थे Facebook of India. But unfortunately, the real disruptor until is solving the right problem. After Google, there's been DuckDuckGo, this, that, saw other search websites. So I think until you're solving the right problem, that doesn't really matter. So we are very focused on our own job while we keep a very close eye on others. But everyone is so small, yeah. It's like, we have our internal joke which is saying size does matter. so that's one. I think global I think they're not replicating anyone's model.
So are you thinking to expand it globally?
Yeah, so I think that's a connect, because it's the first time in the world OYO is more like an Uber of hotels than an Airbnb. Which is why being an original disruptor enables us. So today, I don't know if all of you know, but we have 12 copycats in other parts of the world. 6 देशों में OYO की 12 copycats बनी हुई हैं. So it is like Uber's copycats in other parts of the world, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. We're just running slightly short on time. So can we have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen?
In short, you want me to leave. It's okay.
Thank you. But what I'm going to do is just remain on stage while I call upon Mr. C. Parameswaran, Director, Corporate and Industry Relations, to come up on stage and present a small token of our appreciation to Ritesh.
Yeah, I'm at Ritesh at OYO Rooms and Ritesh AGAR on Twitter, so feel free to reach out to me in other ways.
One last question.
Yeah, go on.
All right, quickly ask.
Hello. Yeah. Okay.
So where's the voice coming from?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Ritesh.
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
Okay, one second. There are too many mics going off everywhere.
Hey Ritesh, so in this world where like everybody is coming up with ideas and like startups have become a trend, so like where does the point where like you start believing in your idea and it takes shape? So like how do you differentiate your idea from others and like, shape it and make it work at the end of the day?
So I think I can give you a correlation. Very early during the lifetime, people used to become rock stars, guitarists, and then they used to be the known guy in the college, right? Nowadays, people do startups. So I think in that sense, everyone can be a guitarist, but the guy who plays the best is the guitarist to reckon with. That's the same thing with startups. So everyone can run a startup, but the guy who does it best is the guy who does it best.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Thanks, Ritesh.
So much, guys.
Appreciate pleasure.
Thank you, Ritesh. May I please call upon Mr. C. Parameswaran, Director, Corporate Industry Relations, Amrita University, to come up on stage, sir, and present a small token of our appreciation to Ritesh. All right, guys, can we have a big round of applause, please? Once again, a big round of applause for Ritesh. And he's given you his coordinates. Email all your questions to him and he's going to personally answer those.